Welcome everyone to the XPRIZE Feed the Next Billion webinar this morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. We'll be giving people a couple minutes to join and we'll start promptly at 10:02 Pacific time. Thank you. As we get more participants to join, if you'd like to write us in the chat where you're joining from, that would be great. If you just want to list the city, that would be awesome, just to know who's in the room. So I see Berlin, Istanbul, welcome. Boston, California, Sydney, awesome. Argentina, Turkey, perfect. We have a very global crowd. Welcome. We'll jump right in. We'll start with a 30-minute presentation about XPRIZE Feed the Next Billion, the competition that we just launched. And then we'll save 15 minutes at the end for questions with a couple of our technical experts on the prize. That we will introduce shortly, but if you would like to start sending your questions in as soon as we are presenting in the Q&A function in Zoom, please do so and we will get to your questions towards the end of the webinar. So first of all, welcome everyone. I just wanted to give an overview of XPRIZE Foundation to everyone who is new to the organization. XPRIZE is a nonprofit organization based in Los Angeles, California. We've been around for 25 years and we've always tried to work on grand challenges that other nonprofits work on, but we approach them with a kind of unique approach, which is the competition model. We believe in incentivizing a diverse global set of solvers to address some of the problems that we are interested in addressing. We started working in space and exploration, and that could be one of the main things we were known for in the past. But over the years, we've expanded our projects into the equity and environment domains, as well as exploration on planet and off planet. And this competition, XPRIZE Feed the Next Billion, kind of straddles both domains, equity and environment at the same time. Our work in food started about 2 years ago. We launched the Future of Food Impact Roadmap. You can find that on our website, which detailed some of the breakthrough areas necessary for us to see a better food future for the world and for consumers and people all over the world. And this prize, Feed the Next Billion, is a product of this research project, and we hope to launch more food prizes in the future that address other issues as well. On the next slide, we'll see an overview of how we do our work and what a prize life cycle looks like. Most prizes start with a very in-depth design process that lasts for 3 to 6 months with a team of XPRIZers who study a product or a project in depth. They interview, we depend a lot on crowdsourcing. So we interview a lot of experts. A lot of you were in interviews with us to design this competition. And we also have an online community that helps us get to the design process. And then as we design the competition, we start talking to potential partners that can make this competition a success. And I think a lot of the folks on this call are coming to this to see how they can partner with us. And we'll talk about that later in the presentation. We then launched the competition, which we did for this one on December 7th. And we're currently, as you see on the slide, in the recruitment phase, assembling teams and continuing to curate partnerships for the success of the competition. After we have a good set of teams, we run the competition, XPRIZE is very heavy focused on testing and judging. Our testing is very technical, and we are very happy about that in our competitions. And we also try to work on scaling impact of the teams that apply for the competitions throughout the prize life cycle and beyond. And then, of course, the big moment is awarding the prize at the end. On the next slide, we will start talking about XPRIZE Feed the Next Billion. It is sponsored by Aspire. It is the pillar of Abu Dhabi Advanced Technology Research Council. And we have other benefactors that we'll also talk about later in the presentation. But before we jump into the specifics on the prize, I wanted to share this video that we will show next as a quick overview.
The UN estimates that by 2050, the world population will increase to 9.7 billion people.
Humans must drastically alter their food production to prevent the catastrophic effects of global warming.
More than 820 million people worldwide go hungry every day.
Innovating in this area will address massive global challenges.
Great, so thank you for playing that video. As you saw, this competition revolves around creating or developing alternatives to chicken breasts or fish fillets that replicate or outperform conventional products. And we'll talk about what specific criteria we are looking to achieve through the competition. But before we go there, I just wanted to share the reason behind this prize and why we're positioning it the way we are. As I mentioned, in the impact roadmap for the future of food, we identified a growing demand for proteins as something that is going to happen in the near future as the world population grows to 10 billion people by 2050. And to meet this growing demand, we realized that current production systems aren't sometimes capable of meeting that type of demand. And as well, if they are meeting it, they're not doing so in a sustainable way. So we were really looking at three core problems to address through this competition. One is demand for high protein products to improve nutrition globally, to address environmental degradation by conventional production methods and try to eliminate some of those impacts, as well as eliminating some of the impacts on animal welfare issues through the competition as well. So these three kind of problems were the genesis of us thinking about this competition and trying to position it in a way that would address these problems. On the next slide, we'll talk about the competition timeline. As you see, we launched the competition on December 7th, and we're currently in the registration period for teams, which will remain open until April 28th, 2021. During this phase of registration, we'll be working with interested teams to answer all their questions. We published competition guidelines on our website, and we're currently interested in hearing your feedback about these guidelines before we submit or publish an updated version of it. And during that period too, we offer two registration fees, or one early bird registration fee of $1,000 until February 17th, and then $1,500 until April 28th. And we'll talk about registration and team dynamics later. But then on this timeline slide, I just wanted to cover the 3 rounds of competition testing and judging that we'll be holding from the close of registration all the way through the end of the competition in Q1 2024. Round 1 is a technical submission. It's a form that interested teams will fill, telling us about their approach to the solution, and we'll have some questions about the judging criteria that we'll present in detail later on. And after we have our teams that advance from this stage, they will enter into a semi-finalist solution development period. And then we'll follow that by another round of testing and judging. In this case, we will be looking at an actual prototype of the product that they will submit for the competition. We will then advance teams that are successful to the finalist team solution development round. And then also follow this by the final testing and judging that will inform us of the winner of the competition. On the next slide, we will talk about the phases of testing and judging. And one thing to say generally about this competition is open to any solution or any approach to the solution. It is not a cultivated protein prize or a plant-based protein prize. It is both and more. So if you are thinking of this competition and you're wondering whether you are eligible to apply, if any approach is eligible, and XPRIZE competitions are almost all the time very solution agnostic and allow for teams to be creative. So on the semifinals testing, sorry. Yeah, thank you. On this slide, we look at the testing criteria of size, nutritional profile, sensory properties, environmental footprint. And in this phase, we are giving teams a bit more agency in preparing the product themselves with limited preparation ingredients. And as I mentioned, this is where we see the product for the first time in the competition and test it on these criteria. In the next slide, we see what the finalist stage will look like. We are scaling up some of the criteria from the semi-finalist stage, such as the size of the product. We're looking at conventional serving size in that phase. Consistency, instead of smaller cuts, smaller quantities, we're asking teams to produce 25 units of their final product. Still testing nutritional profile, sensory properties, and improvements on environmental footprint. And at that stage, we are taking away some of the agency teams had in the first semi-finalist round, and providing culinary experts and chefs with the raw product for them to prepare it themselves and experience the preparation side of the product to make sure it behaves or performs similarly to conventional products as well. On the next slide, we touch a little bit on the incentives that we offer through this prize. This competition is one of the largest competitions XPRIZE has launched to date, with $50 million as the prize purse. And it is divided into some milestone awards. I'll start with those. $3 million will go to teams along the way in their process to help them advance and support with their R&D processes. And then in the final stage, the $10 million will be awarded to the first 3 spots that perform well in this competition. First place will receive $7 million, second place will receive $2 million, and third place will receive $1 million. And one thing I want to talk about, and we can address more in the Q&A later, is the bonus prize. This competition identifies some problem areas with current use of fetal bovine serum in producing cultivated protein. And with this 2 million bonus prize, we are hoping to award the team that eliminates the use of animals in or cause harm to animals in the production of growth media for the cultivated approach. So $2 million will go to the team that uses an animal origin-free growth medium. And we're also targeting reducing the cost of that medium, because we understand that's one of the main cost drivers of the final product as well. Right. On the next slide, we wanted to talk a little bit about the supporters of this competition. Of course, internally, I wanted to mention Anusha Ansari, XPRIZE CEO, and Peter Diamandis, XPRIZE founder. They're two of our spokespeople who you'll see talk about this prize in the public a lot. And I have the pleasure of introducing to you on this call a little later, Dr. Kay Kruger and MJ Kinney, who are advisors on the competition, and they'll be helping us answer some of your questions later on. And of course, I talked about our collaboration with the Abu Dhabi government through Aspire. So of course, His Excellency Faisal Al-Banai is one of the spokespeople of this competition, as well as Dr. Martina McLaughlin, who was a huge support during the design process and continues to be involved with us in this in the prize operations. And of course, one of our benefactors is Tony Robbins, who has worked on food-related projects for a long time now. And we are also have the privilege of having a partnership with the Good Food Institute, represented here by Dr. David Welch, who is also one of the supporters of this prize. And we're really happy to have a good relationship with the Good Food Institute and hope to invite more partners on this call to join as well. On the next slide, we wanted to share a message from those people with you.
Food is a big part of our life. It's what fuels our minds, our body, and our life.
1/3 of the entire planet is used to raise livestock. And as people are going from poverty to middle class, they all want higher levels of protein. But we can't keep feeding the planet the way we always have.
We've created a really special prize here, a $15 million prize for the team that can come together and figure out these solutions for a new form of white meat that doesn't require killing animals, that eliminates at least 50% of the environmental impact, reduces the cost, and tastes even better.
Advanced technology is allowing us to progress in every aspect of our life, and it's our duty to leverage it for the greater good, to help feed the next billion and find food alternatives that are accessible, scalable, sustainable, and nutritious.
These new foods use science and innovation to make the world a better and more nourishing, healthy place.
The products that we create in this alternative protein segment are going to offset the unsustainable demands that animal ag has placed on our planet and its animals, including us.
Now's the time to take these disciplines from biology, from chemistry, from materials science, tissue engineering, and food chemistry, and converge them, bring them together to create the products that are going to revolutionize our food system.
If you believe that you're a solution holder to what could be the taste, the texture, the aroma, the nutrition, the price point, we want you to be a part of it.
We want to make sure it doesn't have a negative impact to our environment, and it can be sustainable for an abundant future for all.
I believe wholeheartedly in the power of food and technology to change the world.
It's only when we all work together towards a common goal that we can find the very best and achieve impact that's truly global.
It's an opportunity to make a huge difference. It's something practical and yet it's something that's going to require imagination and competition to make it happen.
This is a grand challenge. It's time for us to reinvent how we produce food for the next billion people.
All right. Let's get into the next few slides are just what you can do next to join us in different ways. So first of all, we want to invite interested teams on this call or people who know interested teams on this call to invite them to visit our prize operations platform. And we can share the link in the chat now for people to check it out and join. This is where interested teams can pre-register and create their teams on POP. And once they are ready to officially register and pay the registration fees, they can do that through that platform. It's also a platform where you can meet other interested teams and maybe merge or talk to them about their solutions and see if there are areas of collaboration there as well. And as I mentioned, our early registration deadline is February 17th. 2021, and registration will close on April 28th, 2021. So you still have time to explore, to ask us questions, and to register your team on POP. On the next slide, we will talk about, I think I'm handing it over to Brianna, our colleague, to talk about advisors and judges, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Thanks, Caroline. There's so many people involved with our prizes beyond our teams and our staff, our benefactors, sponsors, and partners. We also have advisory board members and judging panels. These are both third-party groups of folks involved with what we're doing with XPRIZE Feed the Next Billion. Advisory board members are selected and will contribute their wisdom, knowledge, and guidance to all parts of the prize throughout the life cycle for the next 3 to 4 years. And then we also have our judges, who these are the subject matter experts, the technical experts, and they'll serve as impartial, independent eval teams for all aspects of the prize at different phases for all qualifying teams. They'll also do all of the scoring for team submissions that will happen early next year. And they'll ultimately make the final decision on who is the winner of the prize. Partnerships, we have quite a few, and one good example is Good Food Institute, who we've already secured in advance of the launch of the prize. Some partners can be corporations or other nonprofits, just individuals who are interested in supporting the project. We have partners who support team recruitment, ensuring that we're reaching very diverse applicants all around the world. We have partners who support the success of our teams and our competitors. So they might offer mentorship at different phases, as well as equipment or different softwares that can ensure team success. We also have partners that support with our testing planning, our testing sites, and facilitation with operations or supporting judges. Some of our partners support with scaling impact, which does occur toward the end of the life cycle, but they're the ones that are interested in ensuring that all of these breakthroughs are scaled and ultimately become for the consumer. So that might be through distribution channels. They might provide investments or even make connections so that market-ready products can happen and be real. And then last but not least, some of our partners are just for amplification. They just are in love with what we're doing and might want to raise awareness or invite XPRIZE experts or XPRIZE teams and team leaders to speak at various conferences in the space. And as we're almost closing out our webinar, we wanted to make sure that you knew how to get involved. We have our core website, xprize.org/feed, where you can visit and learn anything about this prize, as well as access the prize operations platform if you're interested in being a competitor or starting your own team. The prize overview film that we shared at the beginning is a really good introductory for anyone that you want to introduce this prize, Feed the Next Billion, to. We're really proud of one of our latest podcast episodes with Tony Robbins and our founder, Peter Diamandis. The XPRIZE podcast just broke the Apple Top 100, so any opportunity we have to talk about our work in the public space is really exciting. And then we also have 2 one-pagers that you can share if you're interested in recruiting a team or being a team yourself. It's just a one pager that you can access by reaching out to our team, Feed the Next Billion at XPRIZE.org. And we'll also share those assets with all attendees after. And the partnerships that we just chatted about, there's more information there in our one pager if you're interested. And last but not least, if we're not covering the information that you really, really need, we welcome you to reach out to our team of experts and our operations staff at Feed the Next Billion at XPRIZE.org. But first and foremost, we want to make sure that there is enough time to do a live Q&A with our panel. So if we can go to the next slide, I'll be happy to introduce Caroline, MJ, and Kate back to everyone on this call. If there aren't any questions that we don't have time to address, we do welcome you to just reach out. And we'll also share this recording on XPRIZE YouTube. We have a special playlist just for anything related to food and Feed the Next Billion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brianna. And in case, I think I forgot to introduce myself at the beginning of this. So I'm Caroline Colta. I'm the program lead on Feed the Next Billion. I apologize for missing this. I was just so excited to talk to all of you about the prize, but it's a pleasure to be here with you all. And with that, I'd love to invite Kate and MJ to turn their cameras on and join us in a panel discussion about some of the questions we were receiving through the chat.
Sure, definitely. So I'm Kate Kruger. I'm serving as expert on the cell-based meat side. Very excited to meet and work with you all.
Awesome. Yeah.
Hey, good day, everyone. I'm MJ Kinney. I'm serving as the technical consultant on the plant-based protein side. Happy to be here. And Caroline, thank you so much for walking us through that whole presentation.
Of course, thank you. Thank you both for joining. And we have a couple of questions in the chat, so maybe we can start with those right away. One question from David: how far along in the competition does your product/solution need to make it in order for your growth media to be eligible for the bonus prize? That's a great question. And I can take that one, and then MJ and Kate, if you wanted to add anything, I can definitely hand off to you. So if we, yeah, we're not sharing screen anymore, but we'll share the timeline slide again if we can, and maybe comment on that slide. But the growth media is being tested in the final stage of the competition. So we are allowing some time of R&D throughout the competition for teams to get to that point. And we are not testing it in the semi-final stage, but more so in the final stage where we award the prize purse as well as the bonus prize at the end. And of course, we will be working with teams throughout if they need support on anything to make sure that some teams get to that stage. Right. Kate, did you want to add anything, or do we want to move on to the next?
I think that's a great answer for now. We can circle back later if it becomes relevant.
Cool. Thank you, Kate. Another question from Varun. We are ideation stage startup, early stage of R&D. The team is geographically scattered, and they aim to bring in an international company. Will our geographical status affect the eligibility? No, it wouldn't affect your eligibility. Teams from all over the world are welcome to apply. And on POP, you can register a team using one individual as the team leader just to get things started. And then we will work with you to make sure your team structure works with the needs of the competition. There was a third question that came through the chat asking to expand on the versatility criteria. And again, if Kate and MJ wanted to add anything before I jump in, please do.
Oh, I'm happy to add. So versatility, I think, could probably be best explained by looking at the products that are currently on the market. And I know this will vary depending upon the region that you live in, but right now there's a big prevalence of restructured or reformatted meat products, which essentially are ground or minced meat products that are then combined into things like patties or meatballs or loaves. And we're really looking for something that has the structure that is most similar to, inherent muscle, which is found in animal protein. And this structure will give us the versatility to create applications in the food space that are not as limited as what we get with ground or minced product. I also think versatility is going to lend a hand in cuisines, because as this is a global purview, it's not going to be limited to just the cuisine of the US or your location specifically. It's going to be for the palette of like a global cuisine level, and having the ability to work with it on a hands-on level that's understandable by chefs and hopefully the consumer one day is also a key aspect.
Great. And one little clarification there, reading over the guidelines with a fine-tooth comb, it does seem like there could be a little bit of a clarity refinement when it comes to the issue of separating out organoleptic properties from the exact kind of details around what constitutes versatility. And I think that's something that will definitely happen as these guidelines get refined.
Thank you. Thank you both. One other question that came in, could you please elaborate on what needs to be included in the technical submission? On the guidelines, which you can access on our website and through POP, we have a list, a big bullet list of what we expect to see through the technical submission, but at a high level, we will be looking at basic things like where is your team, who is on your team, which approach are you taking to the solution, if it's cultivated, plant-based, or a blended or a new approach. Some of your projections and your plan for the next few years in the competition and for market presence in the future as well. And we're also kind of also checking on very high level early insights into your projected environmental footprint through this solution. What is your projected nutritional profile composition through this solution? So just it's a way for us to learn more about your team and what your approach to the solution is at this early stage. Yeah. Sure, you are welcome. Keep your questions coming through the Q&A or chat. I have a couple of questions until we receive more that could even open up other topics as well. But one question that we received outside of this webinar is, why did we select fish and chicken alternatives and not beef or anything else? So I'd like to hand this off, maybe start with Kate and then MJ on that question, if you'd like to shed some light.
Yeah, definitely. So if you look at the FAO guidelines on various consumption and production of different protein sources that are animal derived, we do see an increase in beef production, but not nearly at such a rapid rate as the increase in production of farm fish in particular, and also chicken. So that's why those are the targets.
All right, and to expand upon that, you know, from like a business market point of view, there's definitely a white space opportunity for both of these types of products. The other thing is, you know, we could like bombard you with a lot of data points to assure you of your environmental anxieties, but I have enough anxiety as it is. So instead of going that route, what we could do is just tell you the very logical point of view, which is, you know, like things such as a feed conversion ratio. So often when we look at the most efficient you know, animal that is in production for food, we often point to poultry, and that has a conversion feed ratio of 9:1. So for every 9 food calories that go into a chicken, it's 1 food calorie for human consumption. So essentially, from a very logical point of view, we're just looking to eliminate the middleman, being the animal. So instead of creating plants that go into the animal to then process the animal into human food, we're looking to create the plants, process the plants, and feed humans.
Awesome, thank you. One other question that we received before the webinar through our email is, are teams able to compete only for the bonus prize, or must they also produce chicken or fish product to be eligible? And I'll give a short answer, and then of course, Kate and MJ, if you have anything you wanted to add, please jump in. So in order for us to test the bonus prize and the alternative to the growth media, it needs to be incorporated into a product, a final product. And we do realize that it's not just about growth media and the bonus prize. Some companies and teams out there are working on some elements of the solution, even on the plant-based side. So while we do acquire in the competition and test the final product of chicken and fish and need to incorporate all these elements into the final product. We will be working with you if you're a team looking to partner with a different team working on the final product to try and do some matchmaking to make sure good ideas and creative approaches out there are incorporated in this competition. We're receiving more questions, but I'd like to, if Kate and MJ, if you have anything to add on that question, please.
I think that's an excellent answer.
Okay. Thank you. We received another question from Justin. We're a seafood company capable of quantifying our own environmental footprint, don't have good data on footprint of commercial fishing fleets and processors globally. Do you have global data to share with entrants?
That's a great question. I really like this one because it's so granular. And I think that speaks to exactly where we are in the competition, which is we're still at a high level. We're going to be asking people like yourself for exactly what kind of information we can get from everyone to standardize this process, because to your point, that's very, very important to standardize these judging criteria. What we can say for now is we're going to be using likely a form of life cycle assessment measures that we can standardize across teams. What that looks like exactly in terms of what we're comparing to on the outside is a great question. That's something we're going to be asking you all for feedback on.
Right. Thank you, Kate.
And just another note, I'm going to drop it into the chat window here. GFI has an Ocean of Opportunity technical report, and I'm not sure, not 100% certain it will address everything, but it might just be a good resource to have in the interim of us coming out with more complete guidelines.
Thank you. Another question came in, is it chicken and fish or chicken or fish? And I think that's a really great question. It is chicken or fish. So your team doesn't have to do both. You can apply for one, or like you can work on one or the other. And that's why the technical submission is very important, because we want to know what you want to work on. So it's chicken or fish in this competition, not and. Great. Any other questions? Feel free to ask now. We have a few more minutes with you all on this webinar, but if you don't have questions now, we can get in touch with us on our email. I'm sending it in the chat now for questions that come later on. And maybe in the last, go ahead, Kate.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, so to your question too, Justin, I know you're not like live speaking at us, but if you're talking about whether or not we're measuring environmental impact differently for chicken or fish, that's a great question. That's also something that we're currently at a very high level on. So again, your involvement on this would be extremely appreciated, just if that's what you were asking.
Thank you, Kate. And again, I want to bring up, if you haven't had the chance yet, check our guidelines on the website. And if you have any feedback on those guidelines, as I mentioned earlier, we work at XPRIZE in a very collaborative way in our design and operations of our competitions. So that is a chance for you to advise us on the guidelines and share your feedback. And we will be updating those in the next few months. Right, we received a couple more questions. What framework, standards, considerations are you using for the life cycle assessment? I think Kate touched on this just now. And to echo what she said, it's still high level now. We wanted to approach this environmental footprint question with our ecosystem, and we will be updating the specifics on that closer to the registration period. Another question, I am a student in a leading institution. What can I do to mobilize actors in my area to assemble a team? That is, again, a wonderful question, and we appreciate you all trying to work with us to amplify the message and get teams to learn about the prize. We will share some links in the chat for the videos you saw. Those are great tools to mobilize people, to get them energized about the competition. Invite them to visit our POP platform where they can register or pre-register a team. one thing I think I mentioned earlier, but I do want to stress, you can go on the POP website and pre-register a team without paying any registration fees. And you can view some of the competition documents that we have. Think about this before you make a decision to join officially and pay a registration fee. So that's another way you can get them to look at the competition more closely and explore ways to engage. And if you have any specific ideas for a potential partner or a potential ambassador or supporter of the prize that you want to bring to our attention, please do send us an email and we can follow up with you offline on that as well. Okay. So we're not getting, I don't think we have any more questions in the Q&A or the chat. I wanted to give this 4-minute chance to Kate and MJ if you have any concluding remarks for everyone on this call. If you have anything you wanted to share that I didn't cover, please take a chance to do that before we close.
Yeah, so just to kind of echo what Caroline is saying, there's no reason not to sign up right now for pre-registration. Please put your names in there so you keep getting information and you can inform how this develops. We'd love to have you there. A lot of this work, as we highlighted, is still high level and can be refined, and we'd love to have you as part of that process. And yeah, it's a really great challenge. The fish or the chicken, I think we're hitting some really key species, so in different areas of animal. So yeah, very excited to have you all as a part of this challenge.
Okay.
I don't have anything to add, but I did notice that there is an additional question. Caroline, did you want to address it?
Is it the one about the growth media?
Oh, you know, I'm so sorry. I'll just read it aloud.
Yeah.
In the case where a growth media team partners with a cellular meat team, how will the intellectual properties of each protected / prize be shared, or do you leave it to the teams to decide?
I have an answer. Go ahead. You first. Go ahead. You know how XPRIZE works better. I would say talk to your lawyer. That's not really something that directly, I think, pertains to the prize. But of course, we want you to make sure you feel confident in how you share information with others and what kind of licensing agreements, et cetera, you enter into. So please do take that into consideration as you form your teams.
I think that's a great answer. And I would also invite you to review our, if on POP, if you're a pre-registered team, you can look at our competitor agreement. It's a template on the website right now, which does give more information about IP and team dynamics and how on the legal side, everything will be run on the competition. So please take your time reviewing that document. And if you have any follow-up questions, do reach out to us. Sure. And then in the last minute, we're getting more questions in the last minute. So I'll try to answer quickly a couple of those. Is this competition open to full-scale commercial companies too? Yes. Any size, location is eligible to apply for this competition. An individual can register a team as well. So please don't hesitate to register your team if you're a company or a small team. And then last question. Yeah, I think it's the same. It's the same question of like, if it's a full-grown large company, is it eligible or not? And the answer is yes. All right, we're a couple seconds before time. I wanted to thank you all for joining. This was a very rich Q&A session, and we really hope you visit the website, visit POP, share these videos with your network. And if you have any questions that we didn't cover on this call, please email feedthenextbillion@xprize.org, and we will be answering these questions as they come in through email. Kate and MJ, a huge thank you to both of you for being on this call and for answering questions that come in.
Thank you as well. And thanks for coming, all participants. Really exciting to have you here.
Thank you so much. All right. Goodbye.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.